Hello, everybody. At this time, we are talking about working capital management or WCM. Working capital is the difference between a company's current assets and liabilities. It is used to check on a firm's short-term financial health and operational efficiency. When current assets are more than the current liabilities, the company has positive working capital, meaning it should be able to cover its short-term obligations. Negative working capital instead signals liquidity issues, meaning the company might have problems meeting its near-term expenses. Managers have tools and techniques from cash budgeting to advanced financial modeling to predict their cash flow needs and adjust when needed. And then we move to working capital formula. Working capital in financial management is defined as current assets minus current liabilities, meaning it can be calculated simply by subtracting current liabilities from current assets. Current assets include assets such as cash and accounts receivable, and current liabilities include accounts payable. And then, why working capital management is important? Ensuring that the company possesses appropriate resources for its daily activities means protecting the company's existence and ensuring it can keep operating as a going concern. Scarce availability of cash, uncontrolled commercial credit policies, or limited access to short-term financing can lead to the need for restructuring, set sales, and even liquidation of the company. And then we move to types of working capital. The first type, net working capital, measured as current assets minus current liabilities, indicates liquidity to meet current financial obligations. And then the second, gross working capital, highly liquid assets that can readily be converted to cash. And then the third, fixed working capital, minimum cash and current assets to cover current liabilities, also called permanent working capital. And fourth, temporary working capital, the difference between net working capital and fixed working capital. And then fifth, special working capital, variable working capital for unique extra or unforeseen needs. And then six, seasonal working capital, additional working capital needed during peak business seasons. And then seven, regular working capital, minimum working capital for normal operations, including payroll expenses, materials, and overhead. And then eighth, reserve margin working capital. Additional working capital needed for unusual circumstances. And then we move to challenges in working capital management. The first challenge, fluctuating demand. Seasonal variations or shifts in market demand can lead to unpredicted surges or declines in the need for working capital. And then second, supply chain disruptions. Events like natural disasters, geopolitical tensions, or pandemics can disrupt supply chains, causing both inventory and cash flow challenges. And then third, economic changes. Economic downturns can lead to decreased sales or delayed payments from customers, impacting the company's working capital position. And then fourth, operational inefficiencies. Inefficient processes, outdated technology, or inadequate systems can hamper the optional use of working capital. And then how to manage working capital. There are some strategies that can implement to manage the working capital better. The first, use inventory management techniques such as just-in-time and economic order quantity to maintain optimal inventory levels and avoid overstocking or stock out. And then second, track inventory, accounts receivable, and accounts payable turnover ratios to monitor and optimize working capital. And then third, conduct regular inventory audits to identify slow-moving or obsolete items and take necessary actions such as discounts or returns to free up capital. And then fourth, keep an adequate cash reserve to handle unexpected expenses or opportunities without disrupting operations. And then fifth, ensure timely and accurate invoicing. Implement a structural collection process, including sending reminders and following up on overdue sending. And then six, prepare regular cash flow forecasts to predict cash needs and plan accordingly. This helps in anticipating and addressing potential cash shortage. And seventh, avoid late payments to maintain good relationships with suppliers and prevent penalties or interest charges. And then we move to working capital management objectives. Working capital management initiatives may have multiple objectives, such as the first, smooth operating cycle of working capital. The process of acquiring raw materials and converting them into cash should be smooth and straightforward. To effectively manage the operating cycle, consider these limitations. The raw material should be ordered from reliable vendors. And then when cash is needed, it should be readily available. And then all production required should be in place ahead of schedule. And then accounts payable should be paid as soon as they become due, and finished goods should be sold as soon as they are manufactured and stocked. And then second, improving capital performance. Another goal of working capital management is to enhance the utilization of capital usage, whether by lowering capital costs or increasing capital returns. And then third, maintaining optimum working capital. Companies need to maintain a balance for effective working capital management. Higher working capital broadly translates to greater efficiencies and is used as an indicator for growth. And it is enough. Thanks for watching.